all have been waiting for has happened. Shedeur Sanders has broken his silence about making this year Pro Bowl. Now, we did a live yesterday, kind of reacting to some of the negative feedback he got. At the end of the day, people could be mad, be sad. It don't matter what God got in store for you. Can't nobody stop it. And that's exactly what happened with Shedeur Sanders. And we're going to talk about some more stuff that is happening in his head coaching search.
Cleveland just made history, and the internet is absolutely losing its mind over it. Shedeur Sanders, yes, Deion's son, just became a Pro Bowl quarterback after 7 games as a starter. 7. The backlash was immediate, brutal, and honestly completely predictable. But here's what nobody's talking about in all this chaos.
Shedeur Sanders, he's headed to San Francisco. Now, this is the image that they put up, which I think is so dope. This is Shedeur Sanders' signature right there. And I just think this is just the coolest thing ever, man. People could be mad, be sad, all they want, bro. It is what it is. Shedeur Sanders is now a Pro Bowl quarterback. And at the end of the day, you can say what you want, bro. The people rocking with Shedeur. The article goes on to say quarterback Shedeur Sanders has a...
Look at that graphic. That's not just any Pro Bowl selection. Shedeur Sanders is now the first Browns quarterback to make the Pro Bowl since Derek Anderson in 2007. 17 years. Think about that timeline. The Browns have cycled through 22 different starting quarterbacks since Anderson's selection. Baker Mayfield didn't make it. Johnny Manziel definitely didn't make it. And Shedeur Sanders did it in his rookie season, after starting only the final 7 games. The statistical reality makes this even more controversial, but before we get into whether he deserved it, we need to understand what this selection actually represents.
God, I'm beyond excited and extremely grateful for all of the love and the support from the coaches, players, and fans. Shedeur Sanders went on to state, this wouldn't be possible without the support behind me. Still plenty of work to do. Now, Shedeur Sanders is also the first Browns quarterback to be named to the Pro Bowl since Derek Henderson in 2007. Shedeur Sanders joined Otto Graham, 1954, Milt Plum, 1961, Ryan Frank, 1964 to 66, Bill Nelson, 1969, Brian Sipp, 1980, Bernie Kosar, 1987, Anderson as the only Browns quarterback to make the Pro Bowl. Sanders is the 7th Browns rookie to be named to the Pro Bowl.
That list is insane. Otto Graham from 1954, Milt Plum in 1961, Frank Ryan from 1964 to 1966, Bill Nelson in 1969, Brian Sipp in 1980, Bernie Kosar in 1987, then Derek Anderson, and now Shedeur Sanders joins that exclusive group as only the 8th Browns quarterback in franchise history to earn Pro Bowl recognition. But here's where it gets complicated. Pro Bowl selections aren't purely about statistics anymore. They haven't been for years. It's a combination of performance, narrative, fan voting, and yes, replacement selections when other quarterbacks decline invitations. The system is fundamentally broken, which is exactly why the NFL replaced the actual Pro Bowl game with flag football competitions and skills challenges. So when people say Shedeur didn't deserve this, they're not entirely wrong, but they're also missing the bigger picture about how Pro Bowl selections actually work.
Being lies put out on the internet that Nate Shelhorse has removed his name. And I'm here to tell you that is a bold-faced lie. Nate Shelhorse is definitely still in the running to be the Browns' next head coach. We also know that he interviewed, this is freezing here. We also know that he interviewed with the Buffalo Bills late last night. Well, I'm here to tell you the Buffalo Bills has found their next head coach, and they promoted their offensive coordinator to be their next head coach, which lead me to believe that Nate Shelhorse is definitely still in the running to be the Browns' next head coach. Now, to me, from what I reported on earlier today, Nate Shelhorse had the deal on the table, but owner Jimmy Haslam is on ice with Nate Shelhorse. Well, Mary Kay Colbert just stated an hour ago.
Mary Kay Cabot just confirmed what everyone suspected. Nate Shelhorse is still in the running for the Browns' head coaching position. The Bills hired Joe Brady as their offensive coordinator instead. which means Cleveland's coaching search is still wide open. And this is where Shedeur's Pro Bowl selection becomes strategically important. Think about the optics here. A new head coach walking into Cleveland can now say they're inheriting a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's a completely different recruiting pitch than we have a rookie who started 7 games. It changes contract negotiations. It changes the perception of the rebuild timeline. It changes everything. Todd Monken is apparently flying under the radar as a candidate. Jim Schwartz could potentially come as a package deal. The entire organizational structure is in flux, and in the middle of all this chaos, the Browns just got a PR win they desperately needed after years of quarterback disasters.
Josh Allen has been a topic of discussion ever since the conclusion of the season. A lot of people feel like Josh Allen is very overrated. I feel like he is too. It is what it is. He had a few standout seasons, but overall his talent has tremendously diminished. And hopefully, Joe Brady can fix that. Joe Brady can get Josh Allen back in his bag, and they can fix everything that's going on. Now, just like I stated, Nate Shelhorse is definitely still in the hunt to be the next head coach. And yeah, man, there's a lot of information still coming out the city of Cleveland in regards to Nate Shelhorse potentially coming in and fixing his offense, man. But at the end of it,
listen to how she frames this. Multiple candidates still in the mix. No one eliminated yet. Todd Monken potentially pairing with Jim Schwartz. As a package deal, the Browns flew out to Los Angeles to interview Shelhorse, came back to Cleveland, and now they're in decision-making mode. But here's what's fascinating about this timeline. The Pro Bowl announcement dropped right in the middle of their coaching search. Coincidence? Maybe. But it's awfully convenient timing when you're trying to convince elite coaching candidates that Cleveland isn't the career graveyard it's been for the past 2 decades. The Shelhorse situation is particularly interesting because he interviewed with Buffalo on Monday night. And within hours they promoted Brady instead. That's not a rejection of Shelhorse. That's Buffalo choosing continuity with Josh Allen over bringing in an outside voice, which means Shelhorse is still available, still interested, and Cleveland doesn't have to compete with another offer.
Situation. Now, people in Cleveland are still reporting on Kevin Stefanski, which I think is completely crazy to me. For whatever reason, they're making it their business to talk about him still, like he's still part of this organization. And unfortunately, he just ain't. But for whatever reason, they got some sentimental values and some, I don't know, man. They very much still attached to Kevin.
They're in decision-making mode right now. They went out there to L.A. They did their interview with Nate Shelhorse. They're back here in Cleveland now, and they're working through their options. And at this point, pretty much everyone is still in it. No one has been ruled out of it as of yet. And that includes Todd Monken, which I tweeted yesterday afternoon. He's flown under the radar, but he's still in the mix.
Now we're getting into the real controversy. Mary Kay mentions that people in Cleveland are still reporting on Kevin Stefanski like he's still part of this organization. That's a fascinating detail because it reveals the internal division within the Browns media ecosystem. Some reporters are clinging to the old regime, others have moved on, and that split reflects a deeper question about organizational identity. Is Cleveland trying to build around Shedeur Sanders as their franchise quarterback, or is this Pro Bowl selection just a temporary boost before they draft someone else in 2026? The Todd Monken angle adds another layer. If he doesn't get the head coaching job in Cleveland, he's reportedly considering the Giants' offensive coordinator position to work with Jackson Dart. That's significant because it means Monken sees legitimate quarterback talent worth betting his career on. The question is whether he sees that same potential in Shedeur Sanders, or if this is just leverage for a better offer elsewhere. And then there's the Jim Schwartz factor. Pairing a defensive-minded coach with an offensive coordinator as co-leaders is risky. It's been tried before. It usually fails. But when you're the Browns and you haven't had sustained success since 1999, maybe you're willing to try unconventional approaches.
I think in that scenario, you would go Todd Monken, because I'm pretty sure that Todd Monken would go take the Giants OC job if he doesn't get this head job. He's got some loyalty to John Harbaugh, and he would have an opportunity to go work with Jackson Dart, and I think that's the way that he would go. But, I can't say that for sure. It's very, very difficult, obviously, to get any information on what really actually is going on in this search. You get the little things that you can come by here and there. But anyways, so I do think that, that is a possible option, but I'm also hearing that, that Nate is still in it. So, I just don't think we can rule anything out right at the moment.
That was the current state from Mary Kay in regards to this head coaching search. Hold your watches up. Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler, man. Get down in the comments section. Let me know y'all thoughts about this one. Keep them bells on. I will be back with more content. And until
that final line from Mary Kay is crucial. It's very difficult to get any information on what really is going on in this search. That's not normal. Most coaching searches leak like sieves. Agents use media to create leverage. Candidates use reporters to position themselves. But Cleveland is apparently running this tight, which brings us back to Shedeur Sanders and this Pro Bowl selection. In a vacuum, does he deserve it based purely on 7 games of statistical performance? Probably not. There were quarterbacks with better completion percentages, more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, and longer sustained success throughout the full season. But the Pro Bowl hasn't been about pure merit in over a decade. It's about narrative. It's about marketability. It's about filling roster spots when better players decline. And in that context, Shedeur Sanders absolutely makes sense. He's Deion Sanders' son, which brings automatic media attention. He's a rookie, which creates a compelling storyline. He plays for Cleveland, a franchise desperate for positive quarterback news. He started the final 7 games and showed enough promise to justify optimism about the future. And most importantly, he was available and willing to accept when other quarterbacks said no. That's how Pro Bowl selections work in 20. It's not a meritocracy. It never was.
You're coming. You should have seen by now. Coming. Yeah, they talking about it. We coming. They doubting us. We coming. They saying. We coming. They think it's a game. We coming. I don't give a damn what they say. You best believe. We coming.
Here's what this Pro Bowl selection actually means for Shedeur Sanders' career trajectory. It's a credential he can point to for the rest of his professional life. Pro Bowl quarterback appears in every future contract negotiation. It shows up in every media biography. It becomes part of his permanent record, regardless of whether people think he deserved it. And that matters more than fans realize. When the Browns eventually decide whether to pick up his 5th-year option, Pro Bowl selection in rookie season carries weight in those discussions. When other teams evaluate potential trades, that credential influences their assessment. When Hall of Fame voters look back decades from now, it's a data point that suggests early career success. Does it guarantee anything? Absolutely not. Plenty of one-time Pro Bowlers flamed out and never made it again. But it's still valuable currency in a league where perception often matters as much as reality. The coaching hess adds urgency to this equation. Whoever Cleveland hires needs to decide quickly whether they're building around Shedeur or looking for their own quarterback in the 2026 draft. That decision shapes everything. Offensive scheme, free agent targets, draft strategy, timeline expectation. If they commit to Shedeur, this Pro Bowl selection becomes the foundation of their rebuild narrative. We have a Pro Bowl quarterback entering his 2nd year is a completely different story than we have a former 3rd-round pick who started 7 games. It changes how free agents view Cleveland as a destination. It changes how national media covers the franchise. It changes the entire perception of where this team is headed. But if they don't commit, if they draft a quarterback high in 2026 or trade for an established veteran, then this Pro Bowl selection becomes awkward. It creates questions about organizational competence. Why invest in a Pro Bowl quarterback if you don't believe in him? Why give him that credential if you're already planning to replace him? That's the real tension here. The Pro Bowl selection forces Cleveland to make a decision they might not be ready to make. Are they all in on Shedeur Sanders? Or is this just a convenient PR win while they figure out their actual long-term plan? The Nate Shelhorse situation complicates this further. If he gets hired, does he want Shedeur as his quarterback, or does he want to bring in his own guy? Shelhorse's entire reputation is built on offensive innovation and quarterback development. He's not taking the Cleveland job unless he believes he can build something sustainable. That means he needs clarity on the quarterback position before accepting any offer. Which brings us to the Todd Monken possibility. If Cleveland offers him the head coaching job, it signals they're prioritizing offensive development over defensive rebuilding. That suggests they believe Shedeur is worth building around. But if they go with someone like Jim Schwartz, a defensive-minded coach, it might indicate they're less certain about the quarterback position and want to win with defense while they figure out the offense. The timing of this Pro Bowl announcement, dropping right in the middle of the coaching search, creates leverage for everyone involved. Candidates can point to it as evidence of organizational momentum. The front office can use it to attract better coaching talent. Shedeur can use it in future contract negotiations. And the media gets a positive story to cover instead of another Browns disaster narrative. But underneath all that, there's a fundamental question nobody wants to answer directly. Is Shedeur Sanders actually good enough to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL? 7 games is not enough data to know for sure. The Pro Bowl selection doesn't answer that question, and the coaching search won't resolve it either. What we're watching is an organization trying to manufacture optimism in a situation where genuine uncertainty still dominates. The Browns haven't had a franchise quarterback since Bernie Kosar. They've spent decades searching, and now they're trying to convince themselves, and everyone else, that maybe possibly, they finally found one. The Pro Bowl selection is part of that sales pitch. It's a credential that makes the story easier to tell. But credentials don't win football games. Performance does. And we won't know if Shedeur Sanders can actually deliver sustained success until he plays a full season as the unquestioned starter from week 1. So is this Pro Bowl selection deserved? That's the wrong question. The right question is, what does Cleveland do with this opportunity? Do they commit to building around Shedeur and give him the weapons, protection, and coaching he needs to succeed? Or do they hedge their bets, keep their options open, and potentially waste another year of organizational development? Because here's the brutal truth about the NFL. Indecision kills franchises faster than bad decisions. The Browns have been indecisive about the quarterback position for 17 years. They've cycled through 22 starters since Derek Anderson's Pro Bowl season. They've drafted quarterbacks high, signed veterans, traded for reclamation projects, and nothing has worked. Shedeur Sanders is now a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's a fact, regardless of whether people agree with the selection. The question is whether Cleveland has the organizational courage to actually build around him, or if they'll do what they always do, hesitate, second-guess, and ultimately sabotage another potential franchise quarterback before he ever gets a real chance. The coaching search will tell us everything we need to know. If they hire an offensive-minded coach who's excited to develop Shedeur, that's a signal they're committed. If they hire a defensive coach or someone non-committal about the quarterback position, that's a signal they're still uncertain. And if there's one thing the Browns can't afford right now, it's more uncertainty. They need conviction. They need a plan. They need to decide if Shedeur Sanders is their guy or if this Pro Bowl selection was just a convenient accident that doesn't actually change their long-term strategy. So what do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders a legitimate franchise quarterback who deserves this Pro Bowl recognition? Or is this just another Browns mirage that will disappoint everyone in 12 months? Drop your take in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and let me know if you think Cleveland finally found their answer at quarterback, or if this is just another false start in a 2-decade disaster.